Hey, all you Splinterheads, welcome back. Bronze Dragon here, saying thanks for dropping by. I appreciate your time. As you can see, I have the page up. We have another proposal before us. I do want to go over that. And I also want to take a bit of a deeper dive because lately we've been talking about the DAO a lot. And while I know some things about it, I don't know a whole lot about it. So we've loosely discussed it on my live stream, on various other videos, and I've gotten some other input from my viewers. So I wanted to take a little bit of a deeper dive on it and see what it's all about. Before we do that, let's go ahead and look at the proposal. The proposal was put up by Bulldog, and I will go to the page, and I will leave this link in the show notes if you want to go directly there. I'm going to read it directly as he says it, and then at the end I'll go ahead and give some input, and we'll take a little bit of a deeper dive, and I will let you make your decision and tell me in the comments whether you're for it and whether you're against it, or whether you're against it. And furthermore, give me a reason why, just for conversation purposes, okay? First of all, this is not investment advice. I'm not an investment advisor. The comments I'm going to make are just basic financial type thoughts. So let's go ahead and jump into this. And right off the top, it's he's proposing swap BUSD and USDT for DEC. The proposal is for the DAO to use the current BUSD and USDT reserves to purchase DEC. This swap will be handled by the DAO management team in a way that minimizes fees and slippage as much as reasonably possible. The max purchase price for DEC is set at 95 cents per 1,000 DEC. And he goes on to say that this was edited. If you watch the pre-proposal, this was edited from USDC to USDT and BUSD. This will leave the 358,000 USDC available for the upcoming rebellion proposal mentioned by Matt on the town hall. Okay. His reasoning is it has been stated many times that getting DEC to par value and activating the flywheel, quote unquote, air quotes, is one of the most important things for the Splinterlands economy. This is a chance for the DAO to contribute towards that goal while also increasing the value of the treasury. Activating the flywheel will create a large use case for SPS by burning SPS to mint more DEC that can help drive more demand for the Splinterlands governance token. While this buy alone will not activate this flywheel, it will get us closer towards that step. And he goes on to say, this proposal was tried once and barely fell short of the passing. In response to feedback from the first vote, it is being tried again with a smaller percentage of the DAO stable reserves. And he goes on to give a shout out to and a thank you to Knights of Pretoria who funded putting the proposal in. Okay. So with that said, let's go ahead and first of all, let's take a look at what's in the DAO. Well, let's take a step back and look at what is the DAO, okay? Because I had that question. Now, this document is older, but it's the only one that I found that made an official statement on the DAO. If you have a better or more up-to-date one, please leave it in the comments and I'll check it out and I'll revamp, do another video on it. But with that said, this is off the SPS white paper, okay, from the DAO section of it, okay. This is when they were first making up everything, so everything is kind of in past tense. A lot of this stuff has already happened, but I wanted to get a feeling when they were originally putting this together, what did they mean the DAO to do? What was it for, right? So let's take a look at it. The Splinterlands token will be set up or has been set up as a decentralized autonomous organization, or a DAO, via a series of smart contracts, which will be published on the Binance Smart Chain platform. The Ethereum blockchain was their initial trial idea. And I'm going off it. I'm not reading exactly. I've read this like a few times, but the original idea was used Ethereum, but it was too expensive. And if you've used the Ethereum blockchain, you know what I'm talking about. So they settled on the Binance Smart Chain due to many factors, including its popularity, low transaction fee. I think the biggest thing was the low transaction fee. Once the smart contracts were developed and released, users are able to stake their SPS tokens, which we have been able to for a while, and which our card playing, overall matchmaking or whatever level league you're playing in is based upon that now. And at that point, which obviously we're talking about in the past, they can be used for governance voting, which we have been for quite a while. So the second part of that is that if you have staked SPS, you have a vote to to cast your vote on all these different measures going forward. The more SPS you have staked, the bigger your vote counts, or the more your vote counts. So that was another idea that they had put forth originally, which is the case. Obviously, we're voting on this. Okay, if you want your vote to matter more, then you just stake more SPS, right? The Splinter Sarge token will be 100% controlled and governed by the community of token holders, and all aspects of how the token and associated smart contracts function will be able to be changed through a vote of staked SPS holders. All interactions between the Splinterlands game, which runs on the Hive blockchain, and the SPS tokens, which will run on the BSC blockchain, will be handled via an Oracle system. Now, this is something I hadn't heard about, and I haven't not heard much mention about. Now, what I'm wondering is if, since this was written, what this whole idea of this center part here is what we're talking about running a node, and about buying a license to run a node. Not sure if that's one and the same thing, and they just started coming up with different names for it. But it's something to look into, and if you have an answer for that, go ahead and leave it in the comments. But with that said, they had stipulated the oracles will be users or other entities elected by the SPS token holders that will be responsible for running software that will relay relevant information about game transactions on the Hive blockchain to the SPS token smart contracts on BSC and vice versa, and will receive SPS token rewards for doing so properly. So that's what led me to believe that that may be what they're referring to as a node. Please note that it will not be necessary for players to have a Binance Smart Chain wallet or interact with BSC in any way in order to earn SPS tokens via the Splinterlands game. Okay, so we'll go through that. Now, where I want to stop here is that no mention of DEC. Okay, so what we have here is the DAO was developed to control the usage of the SPS token. Okay. And it doesn't mention anything else as far as controlling other things within the game and or DEC. I just want you to keep that in mind when we're doing all these different votes, because I think what I've seen as a player is that this question's come up in my head many times, and I think the team over the last year or so that we've been doing all these different votes, they've allowed the DAO more cushion. In other words, they've allowed people to actually request things that might not necessarily should have been controlled by the DAO, if you know what I mean. So let's go ahead and go back to what the DAO looks like right now. Okay, this was just released yesterday, 19 hours ago. So this is what is in the DAO. And you can see, first of all, a pie chart. I'm trying to see with the light in my face. I have bifocals. Yes, I'm an old graybeard. So let's go from smallest. The smallest is Hive. The second smallest is, the largest is in-game. The second largest is Ethereum. This color denotes coins on the Binance Smart Chain. And these two are liquidity pools, both BNB and Ethereum and SPS. Okay, so this is a little bit easier to read. Okay, so they broke it down. How much money is liquid funds, not in liquidity pools and everything. So what we have here is they've broken it down, what's on the Hive engine, what's in game, and what's on the Ethereum blockchain, and what's on the Binance Smart Chain. Okay, so the two coins, and just to give you a brief example, and I'll leave the link to this in the show notes if you want to check this out, okay, because it took me a while to find this. The biggest portion here you're going to see is on the Hive engine is, of course, SPS. Okay, about $42,500 US. Okay, second to that is Swap Hive, which those two are working back and forth, allowing you to swap users to swap for Hive, right? Swap back and forth. So now the second thing I want to point out is that the liquid funds in game, okay, we have SPS, a large amount of SPS, a large amount of Rift, and a large amount of DEC. Okay, we have almost $142,000 worth of DEC. We have almost $275,000 US worth of Rift, and we have about $1.5 million worth of SPS liquid in game owned by the DAO. Okay, now on the Ethereum blockchain, okay, we have a nice little spread here. Okay, we have almost $500,000 in Ethereum. We have $213 in USDT, and we have a little bit over 358,000 in USDC. Now, I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you, but I wanted you to get an idea of what we're talking about when we talk about the DAO and what coins make up the DAO currently. So over on the Binance Smart Chain, the largest amount is in SPS. And of course, that's there so people can buy, sell, trade SPS on the Binance Smart Chain. Okay. And we have BUSD. Okay, 73,000 and a small amount of BNB. Okay, so now the two coins we're talking about specifically in this governance proposal are BUSD. Okay, which I'll stop here and say that for all intents and purposes, we need to get rid of BUSD. Okay, whether it's for this proposal or whether it's not, it needs to be changed out because Binance, if you haven't looked into this, at the beginning of 2024, will stop supporting BUSD. Okay, so whether we do this with it or whether we do something else with it, it needs to be traded out for something else. Okay, so I'll leave that there, and I'm not jumping in and saying I'm for this. I'm just saying that BUSD needs to go and it needs to be exchanged for something else, whether that's DEC, whether that's SPS, whether it's another stable coin, something needs to happen there. Okay. Now, and before spring 2024. Now, we'll go back here and the other coin is USDT. So you will see that we have just over 213,000 USDT. Okay. So that's the second coin we're talking about. So all in all, let's do a rough calculation here. Bring up my calculator here. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and do it accurate. I just didn't include the cents. So what we're roughly talking about here is about 286,500 US dollars. Let that sink in. So basically, if we take this and his request is to exchange this into DEC, and DEC is, let's do a refresh here. Dipped it below 70 cents. Okay, so let's go ahead and say it's at 70 cents. So that would be like 1.3. So let's multiply that 1.3 and then times 1,000. So we are roughly talking 372.5 million DEC, right? And if we look at this, so currently we are at 4,609,000,000 and some, if I'm reading that correctly. So even with that lot of money converted into DEC, it's still a small portion of the DEC we have in supply. And I know there's been a lot of arguments both back and forward, actually what's in the supply, what's liquid, what's staked, what can be gotten to. I'm just avoiding that all. I just wanted to give you a rough comparison of what we are talking about DEC wise. So I hope that will give you a little bit of information as far as what we're talking about. As far as my feelings on the matter, I feel, like I said, I feel that something needs to be done with the BUSD. Okay, it could be fine as far as I'm considered, converting to DEC. But what I think I'm against is this large portion of money being converted into DEC. So, as the proposal's written, I would have to vote against it. So, with that said, give me your thoughts in the comments. This has been Bronze Dragon throwing a lot of numbers at you, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a, kind of feeling of what the DAO is for, what was made up currently, and a look at the actual numbers as far as what we're talking about. So go ahead and make your vote and let me know how you voted in the comments. I hope everyone on your side is currently happy and healthy, and I will see you on the flip side.